Okay, so here we go.
Okay, well, we're here to discuss today. We'll be discussing a very hot topic, AI and what it means to the writer and the creative process.
While we're conducting this session, if you have any questions, there's a Q&A little bubble at the bottom of your screen. Just click on that and ask any questions you like. We'll try to get to those at the end of the session.
So, I am Suzanne Herrera-McCullough.
And I'm Robert L. McCullough.
And for those of you not familiar with our backgrounds, between us, Bob and I have over 300 produced writing credits.
Wow, sounds like a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've worked as a freelance writer, a story editor. I've been a producer, supervising producer, all these titles, executive producer. I've done some directing, and I wrote a lot of the scripts for the shows that I worked on.
You're a busy guy.
It was hard work.
I started out as an actor, a voiceover artist, and eventually started writing for various TV shows.
She's the one with all the ideas, to tell you the truth. Uh, so we've had great success as writers, and we love sharing our knowledge and our experiences with you. All of this has led us to founding a series of online screenplay competitions with which you might be familiar, and each of them offers very different things.
For an example, the Wiki Screenplay Contest, which is known as the world's fastest, runs every 30 days. And the Santa Barbara Screenplay Awards is known for its live one-on-one consultations. That seems to be a very popular one.
It's very popular because it really helps people progress quickly.
And before we move on, we just wanted to mention there are a lot of screenplay contests out there. Some are really good and some are not. And we encourage you, even if you don't sign up for our screenplay contest, we encourage you to do your research. There are many contests being run by people that do not have a clue how to write a script or never been in the business. So it's very important that you get your screenplay read by someone that has good and positive feedback that will help you.
Well, yeah, I mean, always consider the source when you're getting feedback on your material. You really want to deal with people who've kind of done it themselves, right? So, in that vein, we've also written a number of books where we share everything we've learned about the business and the craft of screenwriting over the years.
But the number one question we're always getting is, how do I get an agent? So we wrote a book called Marry an Agent. And I have to tell them the story.
Sure.
Bob and I were brainstorming about what title we should put to our book. And we were reminiscing about how hard it was for each of us to get agents. And I, at one point, said, I should have just married an agent. It would have been easier. And he said, that's the title.
That's a great title.
Yeah.
So Suzanne and I have had over 10 agents between the two of us, from every size agency you can imagine, from the small boutique two-man shops to the mega agencies, ICM, CAA, William Morris, all that. But so the book, really, Marry an Agent, is really just our way of sharing that experience, the knowledge, and a lot of tips on how you can do the same thing.
So now the number one question we're getting on top of that other question is, should I write my scripts using AI?
And, we're not experts in AI at this point. I don't think there are any experts. Everybody's trying something. But we do want to just share with you our thoughts and some of our insights regarding the use of artificial intelligence as a screenwriter.
So the world of screenwriting has been through many changes the last 50 years, from the typewriter to the computer keyboard, the fax machine, internet, and now the most profound change ever to come in our lifetime, and that is artificial intelligence.
Yeah, it's a long way from the first time I saw a fax machine and began sending notes back and forth over a telephone line. So, as the founders of the Wiki Screenplay Contest and the Santa Barbara International Screenplay Awards, we're beginning to see AI scripts being submitted to us.
And we can tell you from firsthand experience, AI scripts fall very short in many areas simply because they often lack some human elements.
That's because, in simple terms, what is artificial intelligence? It's really, quote, a machine that collects and memorizes all the data that we humans are putting into our computers and uploading. Every word, every comma, every idea we come up with and record online in some fashion is being stored somewhere and becomes the fuel for artificial intelligence.
Pretty crazy. Anyway, AI has become a contentious issue among screenwriters. While the majority of the experienced writers are focused on their creative process and are only using AI for probably basic like proofreading and formatting help, many are doing so, but they don't realize that they are feeding the monster with their own work.
The monster, that's a good phrase.
Well, it's a little dramatic,
Yeah,
but
really think of it as it's constantly growing. So when you upload a script into an AI program just to correct your grammar or help with your formatting, you're basically donating every word of your script to the vast artificial intelligence network.
and that's okay. We just want you to know, as fellow writers, that when you start doing AI, and some of us will and some of us won't, that everything you put into AI is being stored. It's eating, it's gobbling it up. To date, the majority of writers do not use AI for writing. Current data indicates that kind of like between 10 and 13% who admit to using it are structuring their stories and generating dialogue with AI. That's not to say that a lot of writers aren't experimenting with it
I think, yeah, the majority of people are thinking about it, certainly, and many are
or
fooling around.
dabbling in it.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
fooling around with it, but I think the results are quite questionable. There is a value to it, perhaps. And if you're a new writer, if you're beginning, if you're not sure about your story ideas, if you're not inherently creative, AI might be able to help. It could help you possibly come up with better ideas or new ideas that you might not have thought of. But remember, these are ideas that somebody else thought of. Otherwise, AI wouldn't know about them. Same is true of characters, scenes, your grammar, and your storyline. And the one thing AI is really good at is keeping your stuff organized.
You know, AI has this incredible ability to come up with stories, kind of like me.
Yeah, this is my AI right here.
I I pride myself in my stories, but I don't think I can compete with AI. But so it goes like this: if you put 10 people in a room who want to be writers, who've never written a thing in their life, and you give them one storyline and they all use AI would make them a better writer, maybe, but all their stories will be similar.
Right. You get the same stuff in different verbiage because AI is actually dependent on the data that it's trained on. It can produce formulas, but we're talking about creative art here. Creativity often breaks formulas. Some of the best stories we've all known, they all defy convention. And AI really, I don't think, is really quite there when it comes to thinking outside the box.
Maybe someday, but also AI can't capture an individual writer's unique voice. Every screenplay or book has the distinct voice of the writer behind it. And that is something AI struggles with. It can mimic maybe styles, but it won't innovate in the same way a human does.
Right, because creative writing is what? It's humans communicating with other humans. We all share emotions, our feelings, our intuition, and our perspectives when we write a screenplay. Those are the things, the emotions, feelings, intuition, and perspectives that AI simply doesn't have because, after all, artificial intelligence is artificial.
So if you have your own story to tell, then only you can tell and write that story. Those of us who love the creative process, of writing, will probably never depend solely on AI to write our screenplays or our books, but we might find some of the tools that AI has to offer useful. But writing is an art, a human art. It's a creative process. So for most of us, it's like therapy.
Right.
It's like that scene in Something's Gotta Give with Diane Keaton
Uh-huh.
and Jack Nicholson, where she's a writer, a playwright, and she's crying through every scene because she's gone through a breakup and she's crying, and it was great therapy for
Well,
her.
that's because she's feeling what she's writing. And
Right.
my feeling is if you're not feeling it as you're writing it, you need to work on your writing. I mean, whenever I write a very sad, tragic scene of any kind, I can actually feel my eyes welling up with tears because I'm feeling it and I'm putting it on paper. And
Well,
that's what AI cannot do.
you're a crybaby.
And I'm a
So
crybaby.
he
Right.
cries in every movie.
Right.
It's crazy.
So AI can be an incredible tool for you, especially if you're working in television. One reason is television, the demand for material is very intense, the pace is very fast, and Sometimes you need to come up with story beats or character lines or a quick line of dialogue. And it can help in television a lot, I believe. But remember, you're responsible for what's going on that page. There's no AI machine that's going to take the heat when your script gets rejected. So using tools like ChatGPT or SoudWrite or other writing so-called assistants, they can help you with brainstorming. It'll bounce ideas off and world building. And it can even help you structure in a very templated sort of a way and give you some fairly objective insights.
But with all these benefits, we do have to be aware of the limits. AI doesn't have lived experience. It can't truly feel or love or fear. It doesn't understand why a line of dialogue might resonate emotionally with an audience because simply, it doesn't experience emotions.
Right. One of the areas where we see a lot of AI coming through is in science fiction
Mm.
scripts. That's because the world of science fiction is fairly, what's the word? Inhuman, right? It's fairly artificial intelligence, right? And we've seen certain science fiction publications and contests so flooded with AI scripts that they've actually restricted the amount of submissions because they can tell they're all written with AI. They have a certain tone that just isn't humanistic.
They have similar stories, is what they were saying. So let me ask you a question. You were on Star Trek as a producer
Right.
and a writer. Could AI write a Star Trek um, episode right now, you think?
That's a great question. I think AI might be able to outline a story in story beats, but it couldn't write the script because particularly Star Trek was really not about science fiction or gimmicks or the hardware. It was about the humanistic element. And that's what really set Star Trek apart and why it's still so popular today. I mean, I still get lots of fan mail from people who just saw an episode of mine because there was really a story about people and how they react to very human situations. And again, AI, it just does not have the humanistic approach.
So, there's no doubt that AI is transforming industries, everywhere, and screenwriting is no exception. AI can be your machine collaborator. That's what they're calling it these days, in many different areas of writing. But it's the human element that will make your story stand out with your own individual creative voice.
Right. I mean, what we've seen is a lot of screenwriters might be using AI to write the first draft of a screenplay or a book, even, but then they have to rewrite it to put their own voice and human touch into it. And for a lot of people, that becomes more work than simply writing their own original work. They really don't use it as a resource. They use it as the reason to write. Well, that's a terrible reason to write. I think if you don't have something to say, you probably shouldn't be writing. But for people who have something to say, AI can get you started, but it will never deliver a finished product of any real value.
Not so far, maybe in the future. However, however you choose to write in this ever evolving world of AI, it's a very exciting time to be creative and to write your story in any voice that you choose, whether it's AI or just writing it on your own.
Right. And however you develop your screenplay, just know again, and I'm kind of harping on this, it's the human element that truly resonates with readers and ultimately with the film audience. So,
So we have a lot of questions, and we will answer as many as we can. But before that, check online for our screenplay competitions. If you want fast feedback and contest results, the Wiki Screenplay Contest is the place to be.
right. But if you want live one on one consultations, along with world class analysis and some real help improving your work, consider the Santa Barbara International Screenplay Awards. That live one-on-one experience is truly the best way to bring your work up to the professional and marketable level.
And don't forget to take a look at our new book, Marry an Agent, along with Stop Screwing Around and Write series and the Hollywood Screenwriter.
And those books are all available on Amazon, so please check them out. So,
Okay, so let's start with the first question. This is Jeremy. Are studios accepting scripts written with Chat GPT? Ooh, see, not everybody wants to talk about that. Sure, they certainly are. We've talked to some executives at the studios. Remember, most of those scripts are submitted through agents, and they really don't care how the script is written. They say they just want it to be a good script, and The first 10 pages says it all. So it's very important to have those 10 pages make an impression.
Right. Now, Duncan asks a very interesting question. He says, I'm wondering if AI will progress to the point of giving good professional quality notes on a completed screenplay. We haven't seen it because people, and there are a number of contests that are doing that. And what you get is very templated responses. If you send the same screenplay to 5 different contests that are using AI, you'll get the same exact response because they're all, remember, they're accessing the same, actually the font of knowledge in artificial intelligence online. So it's all coming from the same place. You won't get any experienced response, I don't believe.
And we have another question from Teresa. If I have an idea for a movie, can AI write the whole script for me?
Well, we've seen people try, and what happens is, I mean, based on my experience reading that kind of a script, it generally falls apart more than about halfway through the script. Suddenly, things that are foreshadowed in Act 1, they fail to appear in Act 3. Easter eggs never are found again. It can be a real trap, and as I said before, it can create more work for you than you imagine because you then begin to unravel the work that it has done.
Right.
So I don't recommend it, frankly.
Not yet. Not yet. It's evolving. Okay, from Maria. Hello, thank you for the Zoom AI webinar. A question in 4 words. Are we screenwriters doomed? Oh, absolutely not.
I don't think so.
Absolutely
I don't
not.
think
Like I
so.
said, we have many friends still working in the business at producers, and they basically do not care where the script comes from as long as the script works. After all, studios are all about making money, and there's nothing like a good script. So whether it's written by AI or written personally by you,
Yeah,
um,
I don't think screenwriters are doomed at all.
there's so much publicity about how everybody is doomed.
Well, look
And
at Maria's next question. She says, "Are studios shifting to AI screenplays faster than ever, or will it be like e-cars with extreme interest from car buyers, but lately the interest decreases substantially?" Well, I think that's true.
oh yeah,
Everything is AI. Everybody's talking about AI right now. But when the studios realize that they still need real work, they still need Diane Keaton crying in a scene. That doesn't happen through AI.
and I know for a fact that they are getting a flood of AI scripts through agents. And if they take a look at a script and they like the idea, what they do is they hand it off to a human writer
Right.
and they rewrite the whole script. So this is all an experimental thing. Their studios are finding out that AI writers, it's much more complex, and they ended up rewriting the whole script. So they should start from the beginning. So AI is a valuable tool, but at this point, we don't think it's up to the par of writing the whole script without ever being touched again.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, James asked a great question. What about feedback? He says, I've seen a few options. From what you're saying, the feedback will be based on comparisons with all the scripts in the database. How does the feedback compare to human feedback? Well, all it's doing is bumping a script up against everything in the database. And as you know, there's a lot of junk in the database. So if you want your script compared to junk, go for it. But and it'll also be compared to, classics. You want your script compared to, I don't know, Lawrence of Arabia. Maybe that's a possibility.
Yeah.
But again, if you're not having an experienced, seasoned screenwriter, somebody who's done this, look at your script, then you're just getting basically canned information.
And I think everyone who's a writer, and everyone here is a writer. Maybe some of you haven't sold anything, but if you write, you are a writer. I think everybody can tell when you get the feedback if it's quality,
Yeah.
because it has to improve your script. You have to feel good about the criticism and use it. Anyway, we have
Sarah's got a question there.
okay. What do you think is the best genre for me to write a script using AI?
Well, you want my opinion?
Sure.
Don't write to genre because whatever's popular today may not be popular by the time your script is ready. The industry works on about a 2-year advanced program. I mean, whatever the hot movie is this month, you won't be able to sell that same script in 18 months because the audience moves on, frankly. I mean, Wonder Woman was a big hit when it was a big hit. Today, a superhero story about a female may not sell quite as quickly because if you don't have, it's all about IP in those cases, but genre is not the driver of your script. The driver of your script are your characters, your story. And I know this sounds very Pollyannish, but your belief in the story, your passion for the story, your reason for writing the story.
Okay, and Anthony here says, can producers tell if a script is written using AI?
I believe they can.
Well, that's if they
I can
care.
tell. I can tell.
Oh, we can tell
So
for
why?
sure.
So a good producer who's been around a little bit, they're certainly going to be able to spot it. Frederick asked a good question: would AI be of value for screenplay research, a film about space or internal medicine or history? Well, of course. I mean,
Absolutely.
AI is like opening the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah.
Everything is there. So whatever you want to find, but remember this as well. There's a lot of bogus information floating around on the internet, as we all know.
Bad information.
and
Yeah.
and AI will spit back, it'll regurgitate that bad information to you as though it's credible.
So do your
You,
research.
you have to vet anything you get from artificial intelligence because I don't care what the topic is, politics or the economy or rocket science. If it worked that well, nobody would ever open another book. But the
Right.
fact of the matter is, there's a lot of sketchy information out there, sketchy analysis, and sketchy advice coming out of artificial intelligence. So that's why we just suggest that you deal with people and people who know what they're doing, have experience, and done it before.
So Whitney says, what's the best way to have artificial intelligence program like Jasper write my screenplay?
Well, that's a complicated question. I don't think there is a best way, but I would start if you really want to get into AI and use it, just tell it your story in as complete detail as possible, and then ask for it to structure it and give you a beat sheet. And you'll be able to tell right away whether or not the program you're working with even knows how to do that. Because, 3-act structure is one thing, but sometimes there's 5-act structure. Does AI know how to work with flashbacks and flash forwards? They're very subtle techniques in screenwriting that artificial intelligence, it's not a screenwriter, okay? You're the screenwriter. So
Right.
what you learn, and again, that's what our books are all about. If you want to learn formatting, AI is not going to tell you all the nuances of formatting. If you want to learn, I don't know, characterization, it's going to tell you what it knows, but it doesn't know everything.
So our next question is, as far as transparency, do we have to disclose how much AI is used as far as receiving credit? Thanks.
Great question.
Mhm.
One that the Writers Guild of America tried to address in their last negotiation.
As you know, we were on strike for quite a while last year.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the upshots of their new, it's called the Minimum Basic Agreement, the MBA, is that a writer must inform a producer if the writer is using artificial intelligence and vice versa. If a producer gives notes to a writer, he has to disclose that he's using artificial intelligence. So right now, it's a very vague area of interpretation.
And whether any writer or producer does that is questionable because there's no way to prove so far that a script is written by AI.
Right. And there's an ethical issue as well.
Yeah.
If you're not upfront with people, they're not going to be upfront with you, and you're never going to work together because a lot of it's a very collaborative business. That means you need to trust the other people. So if you're using AI, there's nothing wrong with disclosing that, saying, hey, I use AI and it helped me lay out this character. What do you think? But be open about it. I think honesty is always the best policy.
Right now, the big thing between writers is they're taking sides. Some say a true writer doesn't use AI. And, that's not really true because AI does have its benefits and it's a collaborative kind of thing.
But remember, it's a tool. It's not,
Right.
it's not a solution.
Right.
Just like a carpenter picks up a hammer, it's a tool, but it's not the solution to building anything.
So David has a question. Is AI effective at log lines?
I don't know. It may be. You could try it, but log lines are a very specific skill, and it's really the hardest thing there is to do as a screenwriter is to write an effective log line that tells all the elements of your story, that describes the protagonist succinctly and indicates the protagonist's challenges and the solutions. Telling a story in 75 words is not easy. And I've never seen AI come up with anything that frankly made any sense.
Right. Another question from Derek is, do they pay more for AI writers or for real writers?
No,
See how
no,
you put that, the real writers.
yeah, real writer. No, they don't. They don't. They don't pay more for anything. They pay as little as possible for everything. But the fact of the matter is, when you send your scripts out, you're going to have to stand behind them in every way. So, having written it yourself, you will have the belief and faith, and also the experience of having gone through several drafts to perfect it, so that you can really stand behind it. If I walked into a producer's office and I started pitching a script that I had only written with AI, that I hadn't written myself, I may have edited it or changed a word or two, but I was depending on AI, my knees would be knocking because I would feel like a complete fraud. Because when I'm asking to get paid for my work, I need to do the work. And that's the best way to come up with a screenplay that resonates with anybody.
And our next question is, do you think you would ever write a script in AI? Well, I can't speak for you, but
No,
I personally would not, just because I love writing. It's true therapy for me. And but I might use to check my grammar for sure.
right.
And
Or to do a little research.
yeah, yeah, for
But again,
sure.
but again, you're going to double check that.
But I would like to give everybody permission to use AI if they want to. It's okay. Everyone will find their place. AI may work better for you and not good for other people.
Well,
We're in a kind of like in an infant stage,
yeah,
you
it's
know.
right.
There is no real right answer.
Sure, sure. As I think Maria asked earlier, is this a kind of a flash in the pan thing? Is it like the hot thing right now and will it wane?
We'll see.
Yeah, we just don't know, do we? An anonymous attendee says,
Ooh,
what research have we done on AI? Where are we getting our information? Well, we're getting our information from experience. Between the Wiki Screenplay Contest, the Santa Barbara Screenplay Contest, we see probably 100 scripts a week. Uh, and in that group, we will see a couple of scripts that are obviously written using all kinds of different tools. AI is really just the end of, it's kind of the end of an evolutionary curve. Years ago, there were many people publishing story tools. One looked like a protractor. It was a plastic disc that you would turn, and it would give you different alternatives for storylines. There was a thing called Plotto back in the 30s and 40s that would help writers come up with storylines. Well, they were very much like AI. They were extremely popular in their day, and then they kind of fell by the wayside because it wasn't really about writing.
but the question really is, where are we getting what little information we are giving you? We have friends that are in the publication business, the sci-fi business. We have friends still working at the studios. We know many producers, and so we're always talking because we are in the business of helping people. It behooves us to find out as much as possible because nobody knows that much about AI, but we do know that studios are looking at AI scripts and they really don't care if they are AI. And so we're constantly talking with people in the business,
Yeah,
which is the best way to find things out,
sure.
not necessarily online because you can't believe everything online.
Yeah, keep in mind the studios are all about one thing, making money. And if they can spend less money to make more money, they will.
Mhm.
So it's our job as writers to really stand up for our own work and to do our best work and not look for shortcuts.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people look to AI as, oh, quick shortcut. I'm going to write a screenplay in one day. Good luck to you, is all I can say.
The bottom line is Bob and I have had so much experience in screenwriting. That's our forte, that we want to share our experience and we want to make you a better writer.
And we're not defensive about it. I mean,
No.
if AI works, use it. But again, it's a tool in the toolbox. It's not the finished cabinet.
Right. Right.
Screenwriting requires a real writer to put the passion, the heart, and the humanity into the work. You can always ask us further questions. We're available. I think the best place is info at SantaBarbaraScreenplayAwards.com. We're happy to answer any questions. Until then, please take a look at our books on Amazon. Marry an Agent, Stop Screwing Around and Write. There's a series of books there. And one of the latest books is The Hollywood Screenwriter, which gives you a real overview of what it's like to become a professional screenwriter and how to survive in the industry. So until then,
Stay writing and stay true to your voice.
all right,
Take care.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.